Well, dinner season. Yeah, it's just around the corner. A couple of weeks off, I reckon. Something like that. So I decided to come on out here quick and kind of hide it up a little bit and get rid of some of these stink bugs. and do something about these ladybugs. As any of you know that follow the channel, I like ladybug stew. So, whenever there's an abundance of them, I gather them up, make stew out of them. And if there's not enough for a stew, then I gather up what I can get and put them on crackers. So, right now, I'm not sure whether I've got enough for stew here or not. Got quite a few. They're laying on everything. Floor's full of them. Yeah. They're a pretty good bunch of them. I might have enough for stew. Let's find out. But anyhow, I'm out here kind of cleaning up. And I'm going to sit around a little while. See what's going on there. But anyhow, I'm out here kind of cleaning up. And I'm going to sit around a little while. See what's going on there. A flock of turkeys and a couple of does out there in the field right now. And I brought actually the rifle that I will use for the rifle deer season. My 7mm mag, Ruger #1. I got it out here with me right now. Sit around and watch the field, see if one of them blooming coyotes show up. And there'd been a lot of coyotes hollering around and carrying on. It sounds like herds up. Anyway, I get the opportunity to try to pop one. There seems to be any shortage of coyotes. Nah, ain't got quite enough for a stew. I got enough for a few crackers. There's many ladybugs. as we have at the farm here in the fall, it sure is a plentiful food supply, so no sense to wasting it. You ought to try some of that ladybug stew sometime. You might like it. You know, as a rule, as a general rule, I just don't see a lot of bucks out here at the farm until about the time the rut comes on. Then all of a sudden, several of them come out of the woodwork. I mean, I don't do anything. I don't plant any food plots or anything like that. We mostly just run cattle. A few cattle during the spring and summer. More or less just graze cattle through the grass growing season. Then ship them off to market come early fall. So I don't put out any food plots. But as a wildlife biologist said, I've got some of the best deer attractor is, which is clover. And I do have some clover, and I hadn't done it for a while, but spread a little fertilizer, that helps the clover grow, but the pastures have clover in them. Not at abundance, but they do have some clover. And so I suppose that is a bit of a attractor, plus the grass, you know. It's farmland, it's pasture land. And when you take the cattle off early and it kind of grows up, it's sort of attractive to deer. But as far as doing anything to, you know, planting food plots and stuff like that, I don't do. I probably should. And I might start that. I might even plant me a food plot next year, maybe. But this year, I've seen several bucks, from little spikes to good spikes, little spikes to real good spikes, you know, to 4-pointers to 8-pointers. There's a couple of good 8-pointers been seen several times here. I mean, that's awful early for me to be seeing bucks like that. Now, I sure hope that's not a bad sign. Hope they're not visiting before the gun season's open. Archery season's open right now, but then I guess I could get a crossbow maybe, and maybe hunt that, but I'm a traditional hunter. I mean, I hunt, when I bow hunted for, my God, who knew, 50, 60 years, and with long bows, and hunted recurve a little bit, but mostly I use longbow and wooden arrows. I don't hunt from tree stands. I hunt on the ground, on the move. Hunt on the ground, on the move, with a longbow and recurve, and generally don't use camouflage. I use camouflage to some extent now because, my God, if you go down to Cabela's or anywhere and you try to find some clothes that really lend themselves good to hunting, you know, as far as the high-tech fabrics and the insulation and the waterproof and all that, there seems to be only 2 categories, either hunting or skiing. And you go get the ski stuff, that's kind of wild, you know. It kind of don't fit my taste. If you go to get anything that lends itself good to hunting, that would work good as hunting clothes, my God, it's all camouflage. What happened to the good old days when they made green and brown, you know, gray, just or plaids or whatever, but good old wool and just in plain colors. I mean, Lord have mercy. I mean, they just assume that everybody that's a hunter is going to work camouflage. Well, I don't need camouflage. Since everybody else wears it, I just assume wear something like I used to. Oh well. And another thing, I usually use, you know, when I could use something like wool or what have you, and goose down, and now we got all this high tech materials that really work good, like this little jacket here. I mean, but if I could get it in a brown or green, yeah, that's what I'd have. It wouldn't be camouflage. It'd be brown or green, or maybe even red. The manufacturers, they assume everybody wants camouflage, and I reckon they do. You know, when I hunt, I generally hunt, like I said, you won't believe how much lecturing I get on the clothes that I wear. Now, when it comes to coats and jackets and things like that, if it lends itself good to hunting, you know, like the material and the insulating and the lightweight and all that stuff, it's camouflage. I mean, if I could get something other than camouflage, I would. Back in the 60s and 70s, when there was virtually only camouflage that you could find was World War II surplus, I would buy those old World War II surplus shirt jackets and cut them off at the sleeve, just take a pair of scissors and whack them off at the elbow, and had just patch pockets, you know, down here on the sides. And I wore those things all the time because nobody wore camouflage. And I did, I liked it, and it was comfortable and all that stuff. And then over a period of time, it got to where everybody wears camouflage. Well, I don't know, whatever, I just assume not. So, like I said, a goodly percentage of the stuff that I've got, you know, the clothes that I've got now is camo, but it's not because I want it, it's because that's the only thing you can get. But when it comes to your lower body, legs and stuff, most of the time just a set of long handle, particularly something like Capeline, and a pair of jeans is generally all I take. I mean, all I hunt with. Like I said, I'm an active hunter, but for the vast majority of the time, what I hunt with is jeans. And when I put that up on video, you would not believe the crazy comments that I get because you wear jeans. Lord mercy. People tell me how the deer can see that jeans, and I stand out like a neon sign. Well, they don't pay attention to the fact that I got blaze orange on. You know, they'll leave bet you that. Blaze orange. But they want to tell me how ill-informed I am because I wear jeans. Well, I wear jeans because they're comfortable. That's what I like to wear. And my God, if I do my job right, first time a deer is going to realize I got jeans on is when I'm field dressing him. Oh goodness, today's hunters are, I kind of get a kick out of it actually. They all dress alike, all got on camo, they all head to toe. I mean, deer hunting today is just synonymous with tree stands. If you're not in a tree stand, you ain't deer hunting. Or if you're not in a bass boat, you're not bass fishing. You know, Lord have mercy. Today's fishermen and hunters are so stereotyped. It's incredible. There's very little room for individuality at all. I mean, you got to conform. If you go fishing, you got to have a bass boat. And if you go hunting, you got to wear all this high-tech stuff and go with all this scent blockers and these various scents and put your clothes in a plastic bag and carry them out to your hunting stands and put all this scent absorbing this and carbon that and all this stuff and to try to keep a deer from smelling it. Then you put these good smelly on. If they do smell you, they think you're a doe or something. You know, I mean, I don't do any of that. Then generally I hunt on the move. Then I either hunt into the wind or cross the wind. They don't smell me. They don't know I'm there. If you hunt the wind, you get out there smelling like a billy goat. They won't smell you. Oh, a lot of these modern hunters there and younger guys, they're going to tell this old man how he needs to hunt. Lordy mercy. It's wild. It's wild, but kind of comical, actually. Oh well. Oh, I've sure seen hunting changing since I was a boy. When you ever know so very few people had anything that even resembled fishing or hunting clothes. You know, you wore what you had. You wore your work clothes. You wore what you could afford. Mostly you wore what clothes you had. I mean, your everyday clothes. Wintertime come along, you put your Mackinaw on or whatever, but very few people had any such thing as hunting clothes because they didn't exist. All this stuff that we got today, that didn't exist then. So I like to ask some of these younger guys that think you got to use all this scent stuff and high-tech equipment and tree stands and all that. How in the world do you think their forefathers ever survived? Oh, like I said, even when I bow hunt, I hadn't bow hunted in the last few years because I tore both rotor cups, and I said I use longbows and heavy poundage, 70, 80, 90 pound longbows, and when I tore those rotor cups, man, God, you just can't hardly pull those things. But I've killed a lot of game, lots of game. Small game, flying game, birds, big game. I shot somewhere in the neighborhood of a dozen or so, or more elk. This longbow and wood and arrow, nice bull elk. And the longest shot I ever made on an elk with a bow was 23 steps. 23 steps, and this is on the ground, on the move, no scent covering up or nothing. Matter of fact, I've been out there, some of you have been camped back in there for a few weeks, and maybe take a bird bath now and then, but it was cold. Oh, you may have been a bit on the smelly order. But anyway, 23 steps, most of them, anywhere from 8 to 12 steps. I like them close. I like them close. The same with whitetails, whitetail bucks. They're close. They're close. People think you can't get close to game on the ground and on the move. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And it's exciting. When you're right in there with them, it's exciting. Now, just a few years ago, there's counties over here close to home that they've been nothing but archery, nothing but bow hunting for quite a few years, and a lot of reclaimed old strip mines and stuff like that over there. And it's good, really good deer and bear habitat. So I got talked into going over there. Well, okay, I went with a couple of friends, and I bought 2 tree stands, one hang on, one climber, and I bought a compound bow, and carbon arrows, and all that stuff. And I got out, and it didn't take long to get where you could hit with that thing. I mean, rangefinder, you know. I just kind of joined the modern world, and I mean, heck, it's nothing to it. It's duck soup compared to all the years of practice it takes to instinctive hunt with a longbow or recurve. I mean, this modern stuff, well, it's just easy as pie. Now, so anyway, I go over, we put out trail cameras and all that, and I got a first day that season opened. I got up in that tree stand, longest day I ever spent in my life. Confined to a little old 2-foot square or whatever. Gosh almighty. Set up, and I didn't think that day was ever going to end. Setting up there that space age marvel confound bow. Oh, anyway. I did that for 2 years. Went over and we go over and camp and what have you. And I went over for 2 seasons. Never been so bored in my life. I mean, gosh almighty, setting up in a tree stand. It just ain't for me. Now, if that's what you like and that's your cup of tea, that's fine. I hope you enjoy it. I'm glad you enjoy it. To me, that ain't hunting. That's miserable. Now, like I said, I like to hunt on the move. That's my favorite way to hunt big woods on the move. Then, if I can't do that, I like the Quigley, my shooting house here. It's 8 by 8 by 8. It's not 2 foot, but 2 foot. It's 8 by 8 by 8. I can get up, I can walk around, look out this window, that window. I can cook my breakfast if I want on the stove over here. I got a bed in it. This is comfortable. And I have to admit, the older I get, the more I like it. So I like my Quigley, my hunting house here. It's fun. I can sit here and talk just like I am right now, and look around and still expect to see deer or turkeys or coyotes or whatever. They don't see me move around here, they don't hear me. It's here all the time, so any critter that comes to the farm, it's used to Quigley being here, so they don't pay attention to it. But I do like the Quigley, I really do. And it's elevated, it's up just a few feet, about 7 or 8 feet in the air, and I like it. I enjoy hunting out of Quigley. But tree stand, no, I don't like tree stands at all. And compound bows, I just, they're just not for me, let's put it that way. And back years ago, the archery season, my gosh, you could go out and hunt the archery season, the whole season, and never see another hunter. There were precious few bow hunters, very few. And then they come along and Jennings invented the compound bow. Personal opinion now. That was a bad day. That was the ruination of archery. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it ruined archery. Now all of a sudden, after the invent of that thing, There's more bow hunters than there are ever thought about being gun hunters. I mean, you go out in the woods, they're everywhere. Bow hunters are absolutely everywhere. Because it's easy. Easy. They're easy to pull back, easy to hold. They got all the sights on them, and they're flat shooting, and you can hold them steady. I mean, and range finders and all that, it's just easy. It's duck soup easy. And then most archery hunters that I know, they say, well, I like to hunt with a bow because it's more of a challenge. I'm sorry, but I just don't really buy into that much. Because I'm telling you, and this is a fact, I've had many archers. Many archers. They're good archers. I mean, they can drive split arrows. They're Robin Hood, you know. They can split arrows at all these ridiculous ranges. And right now, I've got people that feel comfortable shooting a bow at 125 yards, and they can hit with it. I mean, no problem. And they can hit with it. But up to normal, what I consider normal distance for me, a longbow, so it's about 30, 35 yards. That's a long shot. Well, that's in your pocket with most modern bow hunters today. So they go out 60, 70, 80 yards. Now 100, 125, and they can group them. They can put them in there. They can shoot their bows better than they can a rifle. And that's a fact. They can. I've had many of them. You stand there and show me how good they can shoot. And they can shoot good. No, I'm not saying that. They can shoot good. And then I challenge them to do the same with their rifle. I've yet to find one that can shoot their rifle anywhere near as good as he can a bow. Now, I'm sure there's got to be a few out there that are accomplished rifle shooters that can shoot their rifle, but most of them can't. The bow, the way the bow is, there's enough tension on it and whatever that they can hold it steady. Steady the muscle down. There's just enough tension to steady you down. They can sit there and hold that thing and squeeze it off with a very steady hold. But with a rifle, they don't have that. You're just holding it up, so you're wiggling around all over the place. And then half of them's afraid of their rifle, so they flinch and they jump on it and they jump on that trigger. But so when and they can take their bow out there and practice and shoot thousands of practice shots a year. They don't do that with their rifle. Some of them maybe go out here and shoot off a bench once or twice and say, oh yeah, old Betsy's hitting pretty good. Then they take off to the woods and expect to hit something standing on their two hind legs with virtually no practice, with a weapon that's harder to shoot than their bow is. Now, yeah, a good rifle like my Ruger over here. Yeah, buddy. 300-400 yards, yes, sir. I surely can. I can lay them down 300-400 yards with it. That's a fact. Off a good rest. But to stand out here and try to take those shots offhand, it's hard. It's a whole lot harder. But I practice. Most people don't. I practice. So at any kind of a reasonable distance, 100, 150, maybe even 200 yards, yeah, I can do okay offhand because I practice. But most of these guys don't. So to tell me that they use the bow because of the challenge, I don't buy that. I've lived through it. I don't buy that. If you really want to challenge, get you a longbow or a recurve. It's a good wooden arrow. Get out of that tree stand. Get on the ground. And you meander around through the woods till you get you some deer. Now, if you want a challenge, that's a challenge. So try it. Try it. Or I'll even say this. just get your recurve or longbow and get up your tree stand. Even hunt it from a tree stand. If you want a challenge, no sights, no range finders, do it like your daddies used to do it. See what kind of a match you are for your granddaddy. Try that. And then, after the advent of the compound bow, the various game fish commissions around the country got together and said, what do we need to do about that thing? You know, and then the consensus was, wow, we don't need to do anything about that. It departs from tradition so much ain't nobody use them anyway. Don't be enough people to use them for us to fool with. Boy, were they wrong. They underestimated people. People take the easy way out. And the easy way to become a bow hunter is, I'm sorry, that's the truth. It's a compound bow, releases, sights, range finders, all that kind of stuff. It took most of the practice out of archery. It took the arch out of archery. It's no longer archery, it's flattery, I guess you could say. They shoot the cotton picking fast and flat, and I mean, to me, to an old hunter like me, an old traditional hunter like me, that's just not bow hunting at all. That's your idea. That's okay. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to hunt the way you want to. That's for sure. I got no qualms with that. But for me, that's just not the way to go. But to say that it's a challenge, and you do it for the challenge because it's more of a challenge than it is to hunt with a gun, I absolutely do not buy into that whatsoever. Now, standing on your two hind legs like you're going to shoot your bow, or from a tree stand sitting there, I challenge you to use a rifle and do the same thing. I have yet to find anybody that can do it. But anyway, and then they came along later with the muzzleloader. And as game fishermen, we're not going to make the same mistake with the muzzleloader that we did with the bow. Now, the object of the archery season was to let you see what your forefathers, how your forefathers did, so you can experience what your forefathers did. Well, forefather, people didn't care about the tradition. It was just another way to have more time to hunt. That's what most archers do. They just more time to hunt. It's not for tradition. It's not the way to experience what your forefathers did. It's just a way to hunt. It's more time to hunt. Well, that's pretty much the way the archery season is. So when they come along with a muzzleloader, we're not going to make that same mistake. And for a little while, most of the states had rules and regulations that pretty much kept some traditional type stuff in the muzzleloader. But then one by one, each state started relaxing their rules and their regulations because of money. They couldn't sell a whole lot of hunting licenses with traditional stuff, iron sights, cap locks, flint locks, things like that. Just didn't sell enough. But when they come out with inlines and scopes and saboted bullets and all these black powder substitutes and all that kind of stuff, Lord, muzzleloader today, other than the fact that you put the bullet in from the front, is nothing like your granddaddy. Nothing like your granddaddy. So I'm one of them weirdos that when I bow hunted, I used longbows, wooden arrows. Matter of fact, I even hunted. I spent the last umpteen years that I bow hunted. I bow hunted in buckskin. This is buckskin clothing that I made. Moccasins, buckskin breeches and shirt and all that kind of stuff. That's what I bow hunted in. And that's what I muzzleloader hunted in for the first few muzzleloader seasons. You weren't required to wear blaze orange and all that kind of stuff. So it was your buckskin. I got into the buckskinning aspect of things. So the rifle that you use and the clothing that you use all had to match. And if you used a rifle from a certain historical period, like 1800, 1840s, then what clothing and everything you used and all your accoutrements, everything had to match, to get into the buckskin. And it was fun. It was a blast. And then they started with the inlines and the scopes and all that. And then next thing you know, the woods are just absolutely full of muzzleloader hunters. And then you had to wear blaze orange. Well, somehow or another, blaze orange and buckskins just don't seem to go together. So I took most of that stuff and I've got it hanging on the wall now. I look at it and enjoy the way it used to be. My God, 50, 60 years ago, archery season, you had the woods to yourself. The first several years that there was a muzzleloader season, you had the woods to yourself. You could really experience what your forefathers did, but not now. It's all gone high-tech, modern, and that's what the majority of the people like, so I reckon that's fine. It's just not for me. When the regular rifle season comes on, I got my modern rifles. But even then, today everything's tactical. Everything today is sniper, tactical, and that kind of stuff. Well, I'm so old-fashioned that I still like blue steel and walnut. To me, Colonel Townsend Whelan, several years ago, and most modern hunters don't even know who Townsend Whelan was, but anyway, Townsend Whelan said, only accurate rifles are interesting. Well, I like accurate rifles, okay, but I like a lot of rifles that's not especially accurate, just like old lever actions and things like that, and single shots and what have you. But to me, first of all, a gun has to be appealing to your eye. It has to be pretty. When we talk about, to me, a rifle ought to be beautiful. It ought to be pretty. That's a prerequisite. A rifle has to be aesthetically appealing. And few rifles or any more aesthetically pleasing than a Ruger number 1. They're absolutely beautiful rifles. And good shooters. I have no idea how much game this rifle has taken. I've had it for many, many, many years. Taken a lot of game. The Ruger number 1 comes in several variations, of which I've owned most. This one's called a medium sporter. I like the medium sporter, the light sporter. in the International, one with the full-length Mannlicher stock. I might even do a video on it one day. But anyway, the old man likes pretty rifles. He's got one right here. It has to be pretty. It has to have a certain amount of grace. It has to have a certain feel. It has to look good and it has to feel good. It has to feel like a rifle. Feel like a friend, like a rifle. I mean, it got a good look, a good feel. And then you go for such things as do what you can to make it accurate and put a good trigger on it and all that kind of stuff, but it's got to be pretty. And then it has to perform. And all this tactical stuff that they got out today, like even like the AR platforms, I got nothing. Everybody ought to own an AR if they want one. I got no problem with that whatsoever. None. I mean, the government needs to keep their hands off of it. If you want an AR, you're to have a bucket full of them if you want it. I just don't, even though that was the gun that was coming out when I was in the military, it's just not for me. To me, they're ugly. To me, they're ugly. And all this tactical stuff, looks like most manufacturers, they just try to see how ugly they can make a gun. Yeah, they're accurate. And they're a whole lot of things. But pretty they ain't. You know, ugly gun might really get the job done. And an ugly woman might might be just fine too, but I don't know of a lot of people that would go out and deliberately pick an ugly woman, but to go out and pick the ugliest woman they could find because she cooked good. There might be a few people like that, but I got a good-looking woman and she can cook good too. Oh, and I've got good-looking, pretty rifles and they shoot, so I don't need the ugly ones. So, oh, anyhow. Yeah, it's getting closer to midday. I've got the Quigley. Got some of the bugs swept out of it. The only thing I've seen in the last little while since I've been here has been a couple of does, 15, 20 turkeys. None of the bucks. And no coyotes. So, this is my first, I guess, day of the season. Been a little time in the Quigley, and I guess I'm trying to get myself in the hunting mode, not quite so much in the fishing mode. So. Anyway, been a pleasant little morning. Couldn't get me started on this year's season. Sitting out here talking to myself. I might be getting old. Sitting out here talking to myself. My oh my. But it is a beautiful, beautiful fall day. And I plan to enjoy this season. Hopefully get me a couple of decent bucks and lay in a good supply of sausage. Like I said, muzzleloader season just around the corner, so Be here before you know it. Talk soon.